What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing something different, because the more observant of you might already notice that to the left of your screen is a little more RGB than you might be used to. That's because we have finally done it. We have finally upgraded the PC that I started out with back in 2015 when I built the first one, and oh boy, is this an upgrade. This is a major upgrade compared to that one, so this one's for you techie, nerdy people out there who want to know more about it. If you're a quick TLDR, much faster, basically. Much faster, can do everything from gaming to rendering. Just everything is just so much more improved that it's just streamlines the whole process and makes my plans for winter 2021 just that much easier, especially when it comes to picture-in-picture reactions being the norm as well for Patreon members. It just makes it so much easier, because the time it takes me to do the video and Patreon now takes as much time as it just took to do the normal one on my old computer. I've got some examples here to give some numbers, so this is for more techie ones. If you don't really care about my PC specs that much, then don't worry, this isn't the video for you, so you won't miss anything important by not watching this one. But this is for the techie guys and gals out there. So let's start with the old PC. The old PC was an Intel Core i7 4790K. Yes, Intel 4th Gen. So, very old CPU. It still held up. Like, here's the thing with Intel. That PC, that CPU still held up for the most part. It did most of what I asked it to do. When I'm doing recordings for this, for example, I was on 6K bitrate with the very fast encoder settings, and it was handling it, and was taking up about 20 to 30% of its CPU, and was handling it very well, and it really didn't cause many problems. It would occasionally drop the odd frame, but that was fine. It was like 17 frames out of, I don't know, like 60,000. It's like, I'm fine with that. Obviously, I'd rather have none, which is why we have an upgrade, but still. Old motherboard was an Asus Z97. Terrible motherboard, really. With 16 gigs of Kingston HyperX Fury RAM, but because it's a Z97 motherboard, that RAM was 1600 megahertz or 1666. I can't remember exactly. I think it was only 1600 though. Very slow RAM. I don't even know if it counts as DDR3. I genuinely do not know. I could take the sticks out and look, I suppose, but I don't know what they were. They were 1600 megahertz. They were terrible, and I'm so glad I've upgraded. Originally, when I first built this, I had a GeForce GTX 970, which then got upgraded. I don't think I ever bought a 10 series. I think I went straight to a 2060, if I remember correctly, because otherwise I would have a spare 10 series. I think I just had a 970 all the way up until I had the 2060. And then I had a very basic Kingston SSD and a 2TB hard drive, which over time got upgraded to a brand new SSD, a bigger one. I think I went up to 500 gigs, didn't I? I should be able to just check by looking at this PC. Yeah, I'm up to a 500 gig SSD now, which still feels a little small. Next upgrade will probably end up being that. And the 2TB hard drive I still have, but I obviously upgraded to a 4TB hard drive just so I can actually store all the files, because 2 terabytes is not enough to store a year's worth of reaction channel footage, it turns out. And it was all put in this in-wing case. And overall, for 5 years ago, this was it wasn't a pre-built. I customized it and they built it and shipped it to me. So I don't know if that counts as a pre-built. I guess it kind of does, but I picked every single part that went in it. At the time, I did not know a lot about computers. I really didn't. I just knew Intel Core i7, that sounds good. 16 gigs of RAM, that sounds good. That's a decent graphics card for this time. Sure, it's one of the latest ones. That'll do. I've got an SSD and hard drive. I'm good. But now that I know a lot more, I have picked my new parts very wisely. So, now, in this machine, with a lot of waiting and just mashing refresh furiously, we have a Ryzen 5 5600X. Oh, so happy. 6-core processor, great single-core performance, massively improved multi-core performance. Just to give you some perspective here, like I said, on the old Intel, I was running 6K bitrate with a very fast encoder, taking up 30% or so of my CPU just to record. Now, I am up to 8K bit rates. Not that it makes too much of a difference because this webcam's kind of limited already. But I'm also now on the fast encoder. It goes very fast, faster, fast. So I'm 2 steps down, and I'm only using 16% of the CPU. It's glorious. So when I get a new camera eventually, we'll be able to utilize that to its full potential with high bit rates. And multitasking with this, doing gaming streams and such, like if I want to do Genshin videos, or when I eventually get around to Assault League Bouquet, Necopowder 10, Lapis Relight, anything like that, I have so much more CPU grunt to encode and run at the same time, which is fantastic. Motherboard is an MSI B550M Mortar. It's a M-ATX board, unlike the ATX board that I was running previously. Honestly, M-ATX versus ATX, I'm not going to be using that much. Like, I will want an NVMe eventually, but that's fine. I can have an NVMe, I can have my PCI Gen 4 slot. It just works. I don't need that much more expansion on it. It's got enough slots for the RAM I have. I can upgrade the RAM in future if I ever need to, although I doubt it. Not until one of the sticks breaks, probably. And it's an affordable B550, basically. It had a little bit of issues setting it all up, but I'll get on to that in a minute. So, RAM-wise, we now have 32 gigs of Kingston HyperX Fury, but this time we actually have 3200 megahertz. I could have got 3600, but I bought this RAM. This was the first piece I actually purchased for this system, was the RAM. And I got that on an offer in Cyber Monday. So I think it was like 40% off for 32 gigs of 3200 megahertz RAM. So I was like, yes. I mean, it's a 32 gig kit. Of course I'm going to go with that. Do I realistically need 32 gigs? Some games actually are starting to push that if they're very RAM intensive, which games like 7 Days seem to be for some reason. So hopefully that will actually end up helping me in the long run. And, you know, I'm going to be good with this RAM for many, many years to come, thankfully. GPU, we are still running the exact same 2060. I've been having a couple of issues with it lately. Certain games seem to be overloading the memory on it, which is weird. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I have a memory leak on a certain program or something. We're still trying to diagnose that a little bit. But it also... the motherboard was not happy with it being installed, and we were having multiple error codes because it's got the sound where it beeps, and the certain beeps mean certain things, and it was very much not happy with the graphics card. And I was like, oh god, please don't let this be the graphics card going. I cannot afford to spend that much money, and there's none in stock anywhere. Fortunately, all it was, we just had to flash the BIOS, and this is why I went with an MSI B550M Mortar, is because it has flash BIOS. You don't even need a CPU in it. You just plug a USB with the BIOS file in it, plug it in, press the button, it flashes the BIOS, all set up, and as soon as we just did that and put the graphics card back in, everything was running perfectly smooth, and we were back to normal, which was, so good. It was a great moment of relief. Storage is exactly the same as before. We have the same SSD and 4TB hard drive. I can, in theory, mount the 2TB in there as well, but for some reason the mounting on it was really weird, so we never did it. But there's a lot of SSD expansion slots. There's an NVMe slot, obviously. So more than likely, I will be upgrading to have an NVMe in there in due course, and have the SSD be replaced with the NVMe, and then have all the storage on a 4TB hard drive, and probably switch that out. And once that's full, get a new 4TB and switch it in like that. Because I shouldn't need to have both. I shouldn't need to have 2 hard drives running at the same time. I should just be able to swap them out, and as long as I'm done with the footage on that, that can just exist as footage storage, essentially. I could upload that and put it on cloud, but putting 4TB of stuff on the cloud, A, would take a while, B, it's going to be expensive to host it somewhere. At least so far. I'll look into better options eventually, but 4TB is a lot of storage eventually to fill up. And then it's all in this, I forget what the name of the case is. I think it's called a Magician something. Maybe I should actually look up what the name of the case is, shouldn't I? Receipts. Let's see where the case was. Nope, it won't be on there. That's a hard place to look for it. Let's just search on Amazon. I got it on Amazon anyway. My orders. The Golden Field Magician mid-tower case. That's the one we've got. And it's got the 3 RGB fans pre-included. That's the basic RGB setting. We could have set it up to actually use the RGB properly, but we needed a special cable to make it work better. I don't know that much about the cabling of computers. I know components, I don't know cabling. So it works, the fans are running, that's all I care about. I've got good airflow. I cannibalized some fans from... Well, I cannibalized a fan from my old case to put on the back, just so it's got proper airflow. I don't need a CPU cooler because the Ryzen comes with one, and that should keep it relatively good. So let's just have a quick look at my CPU temps right now. We are running at... okay, the thing that I would normally check my temperatures does not support Ryzen 5 5600s. So I have no idea what temperatures I'm running right now. I don't know. How do you do that on Windows? Windows has a thing, like, with Windows, right? You can see that? Maybe. Oh no, you have to have a separate program. I'll figure it out eventually. This shouldn't be running too hot at all, though. It's barely being utilized right now, and honestly, the stock cooler should be more than enough. I haven't overclocked. I don't need to overclock. It's an unnecessary step for me. Why would I put that extra level of uncertainty in trying to figure out if it's stable or not when the base thing is just perfectly fine anyway? But, yeah, that is my new build. I'm so happy. So to give some context as well for the rendering times, because that's partly the reason why I wanted to upgrade, because I knew the rendering times would be so much better. I made a note here. So yesterday's Kuma Bear render took 21 minutes and 40 on my old PC to get that rendered and uploaded on the channel. This time I reran it on my new hardware rather, and we are now up to, let me just double check. I think it was, yes, it was 12, it was just about 12 minutes. So we've nearly halved the render time, which is nuts. Absolutely nuts. The fact that that actually works out that way. Let me just get, I think it was exactly 12, wasn't it? Oh, it'll be on the... I'm looking at the wrong place. So yeah, I posted it on Discord. 2140 down to 1220. Just incredible. Like, it's amazing how much of a difference it makes. And like I said, I can run the normal version and a picture-in-picture version, have them both render the time it took me to do a normal one, so my life just got so much easier. I'm so thankful for that, and yeah, it's just, this PC is going to last me for a long time. Next on the upgrade list will obviously be storage, NVMe. I would like to get one eventually, but I haven't actually technically bought the CPU yet. My friend Ollie, who helped build the thing, and I owe him a debt of gratitude. At least a pizza, probably. That's probably how I'll pay him back. But he bought the CPU because I was asleep, and he managed to nab one whilst I was asleep. So I'm going to be paying him back for that, and therefore I can't buy anything new for a while. But that's more than fine. I'll get a paycheck for Christmas soonish, anyway. Yeah, also power supply. Not that I really make note of it. I was running a 550 watt. Now I'm at a 750 watt Corsair 80 Plus Bronze. I got 80 Plus Bronze just because it was cheaper, and the 80 Plus Golds were all sold out. So I was like, I know the Corsair CX750F is a decent power supply. So 80 Plus Bronze is fine for me. This system doesn't consume that much power. The Ryzen chip is just so power efficient, which is... I don't get how they've made it so efficient. It honestly feels like witchcraft, the way that Ryzen has and AMD have made these chips. It doesn't feel like they should work, but they do. It's nuts. Yeah, so I'm running 750 watt, more than enough power for this. Like 65 watt TDP is for the CPU, and I think with graphics cards around about 200 maybe. I don't actually remember. If anyone knows, it's RTX 2060 Asus brand. You probably know what TDP it is, but I'm not overclocking anything. I have some overclocking room if I want it, but I don't need it. So we're just going to go with what I have and just enjoy, essentially, because that's all that there really is to do. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching this very techie version of the video, but I know some people are kind of interested in this stuff, and I have an interest in this, so I just wanted to make a quick update. But yeah, videos are going to come out exactly as they were. Video quality might be slightly improved, although I'm limited by the webcam, like I said. That is an upgrade I want to do, but getting a high-end camera, oh boy, that's pricey. That is pricey. Like this is a 15 megapixel C920 Logitech webcam, and it does 1080p 30. I wouldn't mind getting a webcam that can do 1080 60 if at all possible. But honestly, it's good enough for what it's doing, and none of you really complain about webcam quality. I mean, if you were going to be nitpicky, I bet you can be picky, especially with lighting, because it's nighttime. I have a ring light as my main illumination and my room light. I know that if you just look at the background, you can see it like doing the weird thing where it's trying to render light or something. I don't know what that effect is called, but I know if you stare deeply enough at it, it can be a little off, but it's fine. Until I get a proper setup, this is perfectly good enough and gets everything I need to do and is on a decent budget. So, yeah. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the techie view of this. Videos coming up. I'm going to be recording Akadama Drive and Higurashi and all that right now. Repping the Akadama Drive now with the new shirt that finally came in as well. Spent a lot of money this year, end of the year. I need to start saving again because blowing everything on new clothes, new PC, way too many pieces, it all adds up. So I'm going to be in saving mode for a while. Don't expect any. Well, also new figures. The Senku figure should be here in the next couple of days. It just passed through UK customs, so it should be making its way to the delivery. Who I think is, I can't remember if it was DPD or I don't remember who's delivering it. I think it's actually Parcel Force. So that will be here in due course. I'll do a video on that. I have a little bit of setup for that as well. There's also Megami and Aqua, which will be coming next week, I think. They'll start shipping, so beginning of January, maybe. I've got to save money, otherwise I won't be able to afford the figures I've pre-ordered, so let's get on that. So thank you for watching, and until next time, see you guys later.